Welcome to the Sunset Safari. A bit of rain, a bit of sunshine, and the flowers are bloom. My name is Brent Smith. I have Dangerous Dave on camera with me today. We have James and Wium out on the other vehicle, and we have Louise and Geraldine in final control. And that gorgeous flower we started with, this Sunset Safari, is known as a not a scarlet pimpernel, but I always get confused there. It's actually called a roadside pimpernel. Quite often it's confused with the lion's eye. Now, the lion's eye is a little bit different, so I'm going to ask Dave to show you the flower again. There it is. Very, very pretty. It's a Trichicera species. Now, the lion's eye has a bright yellowy orange center where there's the roadside pimpernel. That general color stays throughout, all the way to the center of the flower. I know a lot of you like flowers, and so do I. So after this rain, hopefully we're going to be able to find a few others out and about today. I know, Jay, you guys had an amazing sunrise safari with James and the Nkuhumas pride. I was there for some of it. Wasn't it fantastic to watch that lioness gallop across quarantine in search of a morsel? And luckily for the lions, they didn't catch anything. I know James is on his way to go see if he can find them again this evening. Just an update on the fifth and missing lioness. She was found in Torchwood, mating with one of the Birmingham boys. So there we go. So all Nkuhumas are present and accounted for, just not all in the same place. So I'm hoping that we're going to be able to find some eddies. I feel like I haven't seen eddies in a few days, and I'd really like to spend some time with those wonderful animals. So we're going to go head off towards the south and then slowly make our way east while James concentrates his initial part of the safari in the western sectors. Let's get going. So it's always good to keep your cameramen on their toes, and I think one of the creatures to film that really keeps cameramen on their toes is butterflies. Now, I'm quite a fan of the butterfly, or flutterby, and we'll also be trying to add a few more to our Djuma butterfly lists on this evening's Sunset Safari. So it was quite overcast and cloudy on the sunrise safari, and this evening we are beset with the most glorious sky, puffy cumulus clouds about with burning sunshine. So about 30 degrees Celsius, I think that's 86 Fahrenheit, so wonderfully warm, and it's going to get a little bit cooler, and hopefully those Nkuhumas girls get up and get moving a little bit earlier today. There we go. One of the more common, was one of the more common birds that disappeared. It was just a ringneck dove, or Cape turtle dove. While we continue to head off to the south, let's jump on board with Master Henry, so he can bid you a good afternoon, and hopefully he can find those lions.
There. Hello everybody, and welcome. We are in the process of trying to relocate on the Nkuhumas pride found this morning, and hopefully resting under the shade here, which of course is what lions are very skilled at doing. My name is James Henry. On camera today is Wium. Hello, Wium.
Hi, Wium.
Very nice, Wium. It's a very nice clean thumb you've shown us. And basically this is where I left them this morning. Now, before I carry on, the thing to tell you is that they would have moved into the shade if they stayed here. The other thing to say is that they quite possibly moved away from here, because when we left them it was still relatively cool. They didn't look like they were going to go anywhere, and there are certainly some vehicle tracks in here from a game drive that came past. after we left them. So we're going to do a little turn through here, see if we can't spot them. Otherwise, I might pop off on foot and see if I can't find them. Anyway, you are most welcome. We're as alive as Brent Leo Smith is, which means you must please talk to us. Hashtag SafariLIVE if you're tweeting, like none of the birds are right now, or questions at wildearth.tv if you're on the email. The YouTube chat thing works pretty well too, so talk to us, ask us questions about Africa, ask us things about what we hope to see and what we're going to see, and otherwise let's generally have a pleasant journey of exploration through here, through this wonderful part of the world that we are very lucky to call home. Rebecca, thank you so much. You say that you just watched a catch-up of the morning drive and that you haven't giggled so much on a drive like that. Well, I'm very pleased. Thank you, Rebecca. I hope that you were giggling with me as opposed to at me. Well, I don't suppose it matters. Hello, Jason. You want to know if the ladies ate earlier this morning, and presumably you are referring to the lions and not the final control. The final control ate substantially this morning, yes. The lions did not. Now, they chased. We had a wonderful sighting of them chasing some wildebeest down through the clearing today, and sort of cheetah-like cat chase, where the lioness chased this herd of wildebeest for probably a quarter of a mile. It was quite impressive. And then they went down to sleep here, but they didn't catch anything, and it didn't look like they'd eaten last night either. So I think they're probably pretty hungry. I don't see any sign of them here. So I think before we do too much damage to the vehicle, we don't want to drive through here. We're going to go back out onto the road. We'll go and check around the other side of this block, and if nothing comes out there, then we'll probably have a little wander through here on foot and see if we can't find them. The general direction was to the southwest there. All right. Well, while we are looking for these lions, let's head across to Brent, get an update from him, and I'll just have a little foster about here and see you shortly.
So it looks like, unfortunately, those lions have done a disappearing act. So we're going to change our route slightly. We're going to do a wider arc around James. Make sure they haven't crossed or moved quite far during that cool part of the morning when it was still overcast, before the sun decided to come visit. Just double checking for tracks there. But it is a very bright day. Charlie says a flutterby makes a lot more sense than the name butterfly. I wonder where the name a butterfly was derived from. Charlie, I actually have absolutely no idea. Maybe if anyone out there has an idea about where the name a butterfly originates from, I will have a look in my book now, so I'm busy prepping. But if you guys know, please send it through to me the answers on questions@wildearth.tv, or use the hashtag SafariLIVE on Twitter. Where does the word butterfly originate from? And of course, the only book, because I took it out to look up something the other day that is not here, is my butterfly book. Oh dear. So, a lovely, warm SafariLIVE welcome, and thanks for the question, Debbie. Debbie is in Vancouver and would like to know if any migratory butterflies come into the reserve. We don't have true migratory butterflies like the North American monarchs, so not really. We have brown-veined white butterflies, It's one of the most common butterfly species in Southern Africa, and they do small seasonal migrations, but nothing major. So no big migrations like those North American monarchs. That is a very unusual thing, and especially that they migrate over generations. So one generation will go to this point, and then next generation to the next point, and then turn around and come back. Absolutely fascinating. Where there's one, there's normally another. I just saw a green pigeon dive out of this lovely big brown ivory tree, which means there obviously is some fruit at the moment. I think it must have been a solitary green pigeon. And it has escaped us. So to give you an idea, we say that sometimes the lion territories aren't that fluid. We had the Styx Pride right here, just a couple of nights ago, and this morning the Nkuhumas were probably less than a kilometre as the crow flies to the north of us from here. So they do sort of meander. Ooh, what track was that, Dave? And was it fresh? That is the big question. Which way was he going? Unfortunately, not too fresh. It looks like he's being driven over. And there's some ellie tracks there. And I did say I wanted to see some ellies. There we go. Nice big, looks like a single elephant bull. To the left. Left more. Back a bit more. Left more. There we go. Sit there. Come out and left. That way. There we go. There's the footprint there. Looks like a single ellie bull, and it is heading in our direction. So maybe he stopped to destroy some trees on his way and give us a chance to catch up with him. So we're going to leave James to search for those lions. I just got an update from Steph, who's in camp. The monkeys are alarm calling at Gallagher Pan. So we're going to try and sneak off there quite quickly. Hopefully, fingers crossed. If it's not the lions, it could be a leopard. So fortunately, Steph is going to get out there first because he's a bit closer and see if he can see which direction those monkeys are looking. It's possibly the lions could have changed their direction, or it could be a leopard, which would be very exciting. Dave and I enjoyed a wonderful sighting of marula hunting through the eastern parts of the reserve a few days ago. So fingers crossed, and we can find a leopard again. As you can see, the world has changed around us. Wonderful emeralds and bright greens all around, everywhere we look. And our bird was wondering whether it was their imagination or have the trees actually got greener. They have most definitely got greener. They were looking a bit sickly and ill and quite yellow, like they do in about a month or two's time traditionally, or normally in a normal sort of rain cycle, yeah. But they are definitely made a big and a very quick recovery and are looking very green. Now, there are some buffalo bulls here. I'm going to scoop past them because they don't look like they're moving too much, and we want to get to where those monkeys are alarm calling. Monkeys are one of the best predators. I mean, predator alarm detection systems. If they start alarm calling, there is something there. They don't get occasionally confused like impala and nyala sometimes. And that's actually how we found Marula a few days ago. So Leopard says, is it true that vervet monkeys alarm call differently for different predators? So a martial eagle, a bird of prey, as opposed to a lion, and can I tell the difference? Well, most definitely, and you can generally tell the difference, not so much from the calls, although the calls do differ quite a bit. But the best way to tell the difference, if it's a terrestrial predator like a leopard or a lion, they'll sit right out in the open and shout down at the predator. Whereas if it's a bird of prey, they will try to get in the thickest bunch of leaves and shout from being well hidden, because some of the birds of prey are quite good at taking monkeys out of the tops of trees. Waterhole now. We're about 3/4 of the way down Zoe's Road, and so I know James said that lions were west of here somewhere when he last had them, so that would put them just up here. So it is possible that they've changed east towards Gallagher. But now all different animals have different alarm calls for different things. And there are some magicians out there who are able to actually tell the difference. So I've worked many years ago with Renius, who came up and spent the weekend with us quite a bit. And Renius is probably the only man I know who can almost speak fluent squirrel. So he can tell you whether it's alarming at a bird, a squirrel's alarming at a bird, or whether it's alarming at a lion or leopard. And fortunately, we hopefully will be spending quite a bit more time with him, and he's going to be able to impart some of that absolutely amazing knowledge onto us. Okay. So we're about to venture off this road and get onto the road that goes towards the Gallagher pad. We might see Uncle Steph there. So while we use all our senses, our eyes, our ears, our sense of smell to see what's cracking at Gallagher Pan, let's jump back on with James for an update.
Right, well, we had a walk through this area here, and I'm afraid we didn't find anything at all. Not even a track, but the ground is quite crusted and hard. And I wonder, I mean, we're not too far from the Gallagher Pan. I wonder if those lions haven't decided that they need something in the way of a drink, and have headed off there, and that's what those monkeys are shouting at. But perhaps it's a leopard they're yelling at. Time will tell. With any luck, we're going to get out of here now and go around the block to the other side and check the shade around near the other end. I'm really sure how I got into here. Ah, yes, now I remember. This is how I got out earlier today. And it's just amazing to me how green it has become since that little bit of rain that we've had. It is now a green and verdant land. Of course, what it should be at this time of year. Sorry, everybody. Let me just try and ease my way out of here. Well done, Wium. Hello, Jack. You've been on holiday for a week, and you say it's so wonderful to be on safari again, so wonderful to see how green it is. Absolutely. And I guess 2 weeks certainly would have made a huge difference to what you're seeing now. It really is quite astonishing. Wildflowers popping up all over the place. I heard a cuckoo today, a Diederik's cuckoo that is supposed to be gone. I mean, or just about to leave. And I think it's just amazing that they would start to call again. And I wonder, maybe it's a juvenile who will stay here for the course of the winter. Sometimes the cuckoos don't go overseas for their first year. But the call of the Diederik's cuckoo is not something that you associate with March. It goes... And that's normally a sort of call you associate with the spring or the sort of height of summer. And they're trying to attract mates and breed. So it's quite interesting. I wonder if perhaps the new rain has inspired them to do some late breeding, but that's highly unlikely. Name that I cannot quite copy about what the effect will be of this rain, the late flush of life. Cell phone safari. Right, cell phone safari. I got it. And cell phone safari, you want to know, you know, what is this late flush of flora going to have? What effect is it going to have? Well, I mean, it's getting time for the birds to go off migrating, and I don't know that it will stop them doing that. I'm pretty sure that they are going to migrate regardless and on time, because, while food supply is certainly a trigger, a diminishing food supply is certainly a trigger for migrating birds to leave, so is day length, so is the amount of water, and so is the temperature. So it's definitely starting to cool off slightly. I mean, the heat of the day here now is still, I mean, it's pretty warm. It's probably about 30 degrees today, which is about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. But that's not very hot.
I'm crossing over to Wium.
I'm just going to get an update on those lions from this morning. Afternoon, Mike. No updates yet. Do you know where those lions left this morning?
There was one at my daughter Birmingham and one my fuzz around First Rock.
That is hopeless, of course. That's on Torchwood.
Didn't have any updates with the four that were around Nyala Dam the day before.
Okay, got it, thanks. So Mike from Peter Plains doesn't know where they were. He obviously didn't come and look for them this morning.
Yeah.
Here comes Ephraim. Go ahead.
How many nyala you played this morning?
Just the 4 Nkuhumas.
Okay. Yeah, good.
So did you hear that, everybody? Ephraim says that...
The guy, he says it's not too far from Baboon Tan, and they say that.
Okay, copy, thanks. That's the Sticks Pride he's talking about there. So he says that the Birmingham boys, as we knew this morning, are with, or certainly one of them is with one of the Nkuhuma lionesses. And it's certainly not the first Nkuhuma lioness that has gone off to perhaps make extra special friends with the Birminghams. So that's interesting. And then the Sticks Pride, not too far from our southern boundary, just inside what is called Little Gowrie. So all the lions quite close by. We'll be able to find one, I hope. That would be nice. So like I was saying, it won't make a huge amount of difference, I don't think, to the sort of activities of the animals, but it will make a huge difference to their condition, and a difference, of course, to the ability of the animals to get through what is going to be the dry season. Okay, normally the rains would stop around mid-April, end of April, and then that would be it. And I think that will be the same now, and if we hadn't had this extra little flush, I think many of the animals would have started to die, actually. And it's been noticeable how the impala and the buffalo seemed to reach a tipping point where they were doing okay, and then suddenly, sort of 2 days later, they started to look a bit ribby and a bit hippie. And so I think they really have, but this flush will certainly help them to put on condition for the dry season. Will it be enough? I don't know. leopard. Well, this is a subject, of course, that we could debate for possibly 7 or 8 years, which we don't think we will. But leopard, you want to know, you say the area we're driving in at the moment is a bit clearer than the normal areas of the Sabi Sands. Well, it is and it isn't. I mean, it's not so much there. In front of us it is because it's been cleared. But your question has to do with whether or not the bush encroachment, and I quote here, in the Sabi Sands will ever stop or if it will just continue. Well, first of all is to decide, is it actually bush encroachment? Is there a thickening of the bush here? Or is it just that we prefer it to be open because it's easier for us to see animals and because psychologically we find it better when we can actually see through the trees? There is an impala on his own. Spectacular sighting, Wium. Isn't it amazing? Do you think this is the best impala sighting we've ever had?
Second best.
Second best. There we go. There he is. Look at that magnificent fellow. Sorry, everybody. He's really very camera shy, this fellow. Anyway, there he is. That's very nice. Oh, come on. Pathetic. Right, so leopard, I mean, we don't know what is bush encroachment. Basically, I would say to you, yes, the bush is going to thicken in this area for as long as they pump water, for as long as they try and sort of control the the amount of water that there is in the area, then yes, I think you will find that the area does get a bit thicker. And certainly if they try and control elephant numbers, then it's definitely going to get quite a lot thicker. All right, let's go across to Brent. I think he's around where those monkeys are alarming. Let's find out what's going on there.
Welcome back. We're trying to find what those monkeys were alarm calling at. We've just seen Steph, who's walking with Chandra, and they say the monkeys were looking in this direction. So, wonder what's out there. So we're just going to check very carefully back up towards Gallagher Shortcut Road. And just remember, they're not going to be coming for the pan itself at the moment. There's so much water everywhere. So I often say your ears are far more important at finding animals than your eyes. It helps to have a good set of spotting eyes as well, but your ears will lead you to the right area to look for the different animals, and that's by listening to everything the bush is telling you, the different alarm calls even from the tiniest little bird or a dwarf mongoose might lead you to one of Africa's big predators. Must be further to the north. Have a look through there. Not the best view, but a very relaxed looking little nyala. See him?
Good.
Zoom. Keep zooming to the right. You see the little tail flick there?
Yeah.
There we go. And see that camouflage, even in the green. How well that nyala blends in with the bush. Definitely not looking like it's just spotted a lion. Pretty, pretty little thing. I'm just going to keep sneaking forward through here. I think it must be more to that side. Okay, so there's a nyala letting us know it's probably whatever those monkeys were alarming at, not here. So probably going to be further off to the north and to the west. So let's go have a look. I wonder how far those Nkuhumas could have moved today. It was quite cool for the first part of the morning. Oh, hello, pigs. Here we go. Female warthog and a little one. There's a few more of them off to the left behind. We can't really see them too well. Let's just try to go forward a skosh. So it looks like two females and their offspring. So when you see two females like this with multiple offspring, I'm going to run across the road there. There we go. There we go. Off they go. So when you see two adult females, it's more than likely mom and daughter. And what I'm saying here is the one at the back is mom, the one in the front is daughter. Now, they will jointly raise those little piglets. So the piglets will be able to suckle from mom or auntie or half sister. Oh, complicated, this warthog family business. But so one of the few animals, and especially the few sort of herbivores that will allo-suckle, so will allow another animal's offspring to suckle. So, but there are blood relations. I'm just trying to get us into a spot where we can get a view of them again. Now, moving off there. There are the little ones. So I think I can't remember how many in total were here, but I think we've lost one or two. They each had 3. There's now only 4 remaining. So it could have been an eagle, could have been a leopard, could have been a lion, but it's something that small. You don't really find too much left over. Yeah, off they go. So interesting that warthogs will allow, as long as it's a blood relation, another member of the sounder, which is the correct collective noun for warthogs, a sounder, to suckle. So you won't find that many other animals outside. Actually, I'm trying to think what other animals. Probably the most well-known that does that is lions. So very, very interesting. Ooh, and James has found a very interesting arachnid that has been known to walk atop of the water.
There, everybody, is a little spider. And the spider is very clever, of course, because it lives on the surface of the water. You can see it doesn't sink, and it doesn't sink because of that unique property of water, where the tension on the surface tension is such that if you're below a certain mass, then you can live on the surface. And what it will be eating is those little insects, the flies and things you can possibly see around there, that also live on the surface tension of the water. Now, water, I think, is probably one of the only solutions or liquids that has a surface tension quite as strong. And that's because of the unique arrangement of the water molecules. And for those of you who are perhaps thinking about doing science at school, if you're a youngster, or for those who have just forgotten, it's because of the property. Look at it cleaning its legs there. Can you see that? No, you can't see it. It's cleaning its legs. I'm looking with my very powerful binoculars. Anyway, that was the water spider. Anyway, Anyway, the water, of course, is made up of hydrogen and oxygen, as most of you will know. And because of the unique way that the individual atoms of hydrogen and oxygen are attached to each other, it forms something called a polar bond, and that has to do with why the surface tension on water is so much stronger than I think it is in many other liquids. I think, if I remember my chemistry correctly, that is why so many animals are able to live on the surface of water. Right, that spider has outlived its entertainment value. Let us continue. No further tracks of the lions, I'm afraid. But, you know, we learn to live with disappointment and we learn to live with success. I haven't seen them coming across the road here, so perhaps they are still in that block. California, you're watching with your son Tanner, and you want to know about meerkats because you saw the warthogs, which are impossibly cute, and you thought maybe that we get meerkats here. Tanner wants to know. Tanner, we don't get meerkats here. We get something called a dwarf mongoose, which is very similar. It's from the same family. It's a bit smaller, but they live in a very similar kind of community, and they live in termite mounds. But meerkats don't live here, and that's because it's too wet. Now, it's difficult to believe that. But meerkats like to live in deserts. So they live in the Kalahari and they live up into Namibia in the Namib Desert. So this place is just a little bit too wet for them, and they are replaced here by the dwarf mongoose and also the banded mongoose, although very seldom see the banded out here. Now we're on a little area called Impala Plains, which would in theory be a good place for a lion to hunt. Maybe they came out here this morning and found some shade, but it's difficult to say. We'll just check the road carefully. And it is a very, very green and verdant land quite suddenly. This used to be almost completely grass-free until about, not very long ago. Look at these things. Look at these. Let me go back a bit. Now, I know nothing about what I'm about to show you, absolutely nothing whatsoever. But to which kingdom they belong. Let's have a look at this one. I'm going to pick one. Now, I know that it's not always a good idea to pick something, but I'm going to pick it because I think there are lots of them.
You're going to turn into a dwarf if you touch one.
I'll turn into a dwarf. I couldn't get a lot shorter than I am, really. You know. So we've got a great profusion of mushrooms coming up as a result of the rains. And underneath there you can see what are called the filaments. And within the filaments are the spores, which are essentially the seeds that a fungus uses to grow. And there aren't any in there now. I wonder if it hasn't possibly already spored. Now, of course, as we all know, many fungi are tremendously toxic, and so I'm not going to eat this one. Although it does smell rather delicious. I quite like mushrooms. Do you want to try it? Are you sure? Jim's shaking his head vigorously.
I don't want to turn into a little fairy tale creature.
You don't want to turn into a goblin. Okay. But the one interesting thing about this is that it's not a plant. It's not an animal, and it belongs to a kingdom all on its own. So while we are able to identify all the mammals, some of all the birds, some of the insects to a species level, I've got absolutely no idea what species this is. I don't know what genus it is. I don't know what family it is. I don't know what order it is. I don't know what class it is. So all I know is that it belongs to the kingdom fungi. It's like seeing an antelope and saying, that is an animal. That's as poor as my knowledge and most people's knowledge on these strange and marvelous things is. See, I'm not a dwarf there. Well, I'm certainly no more dwarf-like than I was. Just look over there. There's some even larger ones that look like sort of toadstools. You see them there? Amazing. Okay. Lions, here we go. We'll try and find some lions too. And that's purely as a result of the rain. Here is Brent Smith hailing me. Go ahead.
James, what area are you checking now?
I'm on Impala Plains, just checking around here now. I'm driving down Balanites. I'll go back up so
I copy. I'll take a second paddle. Can I go short now? I might come towards the Mvubu.
Copy that. So you obviously heard that. Brent is heading from Gallagher Pan towards Mvubu Road to see if we can't find tracks or whatever was making those monkeys very cross. Debbie in Vancouver. You say nature is about checks and balances. Well, it is to a certain extent about checks and balances. You want to know what keeps the bush growth in check. Only predators of bush. So I suppose it would be elephants and other large browsing animals. Certainly the huge herds of buffalo that used to come through the area would have helped to keep the areas clean to a certain area. To a certain extent, but in this area at the moment, nothing really stops the bush other than human beings. Now, I don't think that's difficult. It's difficult to say, like we were discussing earlier, what is bush encroachment and what isn't, and that's simply because we don't know. We don't know what this area looked like 500 years ago. There are no written records of it. The oral record only lasts for about 200 years. So before the advent of large-scale human beings, or large-scale settlements of human beings in the area, that was a dike, everybody, we don't really know what it looked like. And so when we say the bush is encroaching, we're not really sure that it's encroaching so much as doing what it always has done. I don't think this area's got particularly thicker since I arrived, but who knows. I've seen absolutely no further lion tracks whatsoever. So I think we'll go back vaguely towards where we were, see if we can't pick them up inside the block somewhere. I also haven't heard anyone calling them in from this morning, so maybe they're in there, maybe they've moved off. Quite a silent afternoon, really kind of soporific. Sorry, I forgot to get the clutch out there, that's not very good at all. But if you listen carefully as we roll forward, there's not much in the way of bird song. There is a netiki calling. Choop, 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 choop. Otherwise, all is very quiet. Hello, Simon. You are watching today with your 92-year-old grandfather, Fani, with us. Fani, welcome. Very nice to have you with us. I hope that you are comfortable drinking your favorite snifter, or perhaps a cup of tea with a large slice of cake next to it, and enjoying a little drive through the wilderness with us. I've no doubt, Fani, as a South African, you've visited this area possibly many times during your life. So welcome and thank you for taking the time to watch us. Carefully through here. That's interesting. So Jeffrey in Texas says that usually white mushrooms are okay to eat, and it's the colored ones that are normally quite toxic. Now Jeffrey, ooh, look at this. That makes quite a lot of sense because that one smelt fine. What do you think did that, Fiona?
Honey man.
Do you think so? I don't know. No, this has been dug out. I thought for a second it might be one of those Speaks-hinged tortoises, because we've discovered that they live, well, we haven't discovered, we were told, that they live inside these termite mounds, and they make a sort of little burrow, a little bit like this. But this has been excavated and already repaired. Could well have been an artfak, could have been a honey badger, could have been a pangolin. Nice. Let's just give a smell to the earth. If you ever want potting soil out here, this is what you use. Full of great nutrition. It just smells so nutritious as well. Not to eat, of course. Right, on we go. Drive very slowly along this road, just make sure that those lines haven't crossed out, because it's quite sandy, which is nice. No, Louise, you're already with us. Like I say, just not a lot of bird song, which gives it a kind of soporific nature to the afternoon, and also makes you think, maybe things have skedaddled out of here in order to avoid the terrifying lions. Quite a sandy road, so I think if they were to come across here, we'd probably have seen the tracks. Brent did drive down here at great speed just a little bit earlier, because he was on his way to try and get to the Gallagher Pan. We'll just turn this down. There we go. Let's have one last listen here. Let's see if we can't pick something up, some alarm calling testicular. Very, very peaceful sounds. Other than the game drive radio, of course. Lots of birds we're hearing at the moment that we wouldn't normally at this time of year. I think probably because of the rain and therefore the extra insects, and netiki being one of them. There's a totally nondescript brown bird like a testicular. And then also something called a Steerling's wren warbler, which goes tick-a-tick, 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 tick-a-tick. Also not particularly interesting to look at, but not birds that we've been hearing at all throughout the summer, which is unusual. Anyway. Ah, there's the Steenbok Wium. A heartbeat beating in the African sun and running at great speed. Obviously. Marvelous. In 2 minds as to what to do here. We should just leave this. Brent has got something really interesting to show you. Let's head across there.
So, Dangerous Dave and I have found a possibly very fascinating little thing out in the bush, and doing one of my favorite things, tracking. So if we come have a look over here. Oh wait, before I forget, I've learnt my lesson. Oh no, I don't have to lift this one here. No, sorry, wrong car. But here we can see quite a large carcass, I'd probably say about the size of an impala, has been dragged into the bush here. Now, there are hyena tracks, but the hyena tracks you can see are on top. So this doesn't necessarily mean it was a hyena that has stolen a kill and dragging a kill. It could have been dragged by a leopard, and the hyena's going to do the same as what I'm planning to do, except I'm going to do it with my eyes. A hyena would have done it with its nose, and we saw those hyenas a while ago, nose to the ground, following those lion tracks. So the drag is going this way. You can see how all the little bits of sticks and things. So that stick probably was lying actually over there and has just been pulled and dragged and deposited there. So you can see the lines where it's going. So it's heading off into the block here. So I'm going to go take a quick little walk. Hopefully, it might be a spotted kitty cat on the other end of it. But if not, still always best to follow such little leads. But while I do that, let's go have a look what Commander Bond is up to.
That sounds like pretty good prospects for the afternoon. It's entirely possible, of course, that hyena has pilfered whatever it is, especially as there are hyena tracks on top of it. We're going to leave this area for a little while, and we're not going to go blundering through there in the vehicle. We'll come back here and maybe have a look either later on or on foot, yeah, depending on whether Brent finds that leopard or not, or if it is a leopard. But at the moment, we're going to go down to Treehouse Dam, see what we can find over there. That's not too far from here. It's about, I don't know, about kilometers the crow flies towards the southwest, where there's a beautiful vista, Wium. The beautiful vista, everybody. Lovely puffy white perfect clouds. Ooh, and a little bit of a bird floating in the sky. Look at that.
Oh no, it's stuck.
Hello, Ellen. That's a Wahlberg's eagle, I think. No, it's not, you know. It could be a tawny. Ellen, you want to know about whether we've ever thought about putting a camera trap on a termite mound like that, filling in a hole and see what comes. Ellen, I think we've done various things like that, not in a termite mound specifically, but it would be a good idea. In fact, it is a Wahlberg's eagle. As soon as it turns into the wind, its tail becomes very thin. So I think that's what it is. Well done, Wium. It was a very difficult conditions under which you were working there with that light. It is the most peaceful thing, as I've said to you quite often. It's the most peaceful thing in the world to watch a bird like that flying in the sky like this, deep blue with a puffy cloud. And I just find it such a calming and wonderful thing to do. I'll drive a little bit faster and try and get back to the water. I do hope that there will be a leopard on the end of that drag mark, mainly because I hope it will be a male, and mainly because I hope that male is Nkhuhumas. The last time he was seen, he wasn't too far from there, though he did walk quite a long way away from there eventually. What else can we look at while we drive along? That noise. Sorry, I thought I may have heard an alarm. No, just a dove, another dove going. Andreen, you think maybe I drove over some predator dung and that's why we're not seeing anything? I think it's quite possible. Maybe I drove over the lion dung this morning and that's why the mammals are a little bit scarce. And indeed, so are the birds. We can hear them calling in the background. They're not exactly rushing to make themselves viewable by the camera. Anyhow, so it shall be. There is a bird, it's the greater blue-eared glossy starling, no less, in the tree, in a beautiful marula tree. And it is flying away, obviously. Just up from there, I think he is. Here's somebody driving along this road. There we can see him now. That is the greater blue-eared glossy starling. Not a particularly wonderful sighting. Let me just move out of the way here. I didn't have a nest in there. It's there. He's running around on the branch there. Sorry, everybody, I've just pulled off the road because there's somebody coming past. I'll just get an update from them. Right, how's it going? Good. What's your route? Hey, everybody. Okay, cool.
Do you know Michelle Kershaw?
I do, yes.
What I recognise you at Garden.
Yes.
Yeah.
You obviously do as well.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
You know, because I came and stayed with her there for a while.
Oh, right,
She was
okay.
doing drives.
Okay, cool. Enjoy your drive, everyone.
Okay.
It's very odd. One of those experiences where they have no idea that you're presenting to a live audience and strike up a conversation, which becomes slightly awkward when there are 3,000 people watching that conversation. Right, let's go back to the water. See if we can find anything there. Hello, Zoe. Your comment is that you turned the TV off last night and I was on the vehicle. You've turned it on again now and here I am again. And I must live on the vehicle. I do actually, yes. I live in this small white box over here. I'm able to fold myself into it. I read a book when I get tired, and then into this section I fold and I go to sleep there. And then sometimes I get some food. On Sundays I'm allowed a slice of toast with a little bit of butter on it. But otherwise I'm here permanently. This fellow in front of us is hogging the road slightly. Let's go a separate way. We'll take the bypass, yes. Oh, gosh. Anyway, Zoe, I'm glad that we're the last thing you think about when you go to sleep and the first thing you think about when you wake up. Now here is a proper vista, of course. One of the greatest vistas on Juma, the easterly vista as I like to call it. And there you can see the vast and untrammeled marvels of the Greater Kruger National Park stretching out to the east, overhung by some puffy white clouds. Beautiful. Right, let's go across to Brent Smith and get an update from him and see how his tracking has progressed.
So, in terms of tracking, it was a success. So not long after you left me, I found the first clear male leopard footprint on that drag mark. And whatever this was, I think it might even have been a subadult kudu. I mean, look at the size of that bone. It's quite big, so it wasn't able to hoist it into a tree. So it went under a buffalo thorn, and that's where things went bad, from what the tracks can tell me. So the leopard did put up a little bit of a fight, but the hyenas managed to get it, and then this was all that was left. You can still see quite fresh, doesn't smell bad at all. The bone smells very fresh. It's actually still moist on the inside. So the hyena got the marrow out. I would say probably 2 days old, but I don't think the leopard actually had this kill for too long. I don't think anyone's been down this road since the rain. We're right on the fire break, and we're just still following up on those monkey alarm calls. I got very excited when I saw this drag mark. I thought maybe the big thing, maybe this leopard's got a nice big kill hidden in the block. But alas, the hyenas have it now. So we're going to keep checking around this area. Hopefully, something pops up. But at least we were able to get to the end of the story. So a big thank you to Pat, Joan and Katrina, who have got the origins of the word butterfly for me. It is said to be a fly of a butter colour, probably named after the brimstone butterfly, which is one of the first butterflies to emerge after hibernation on the British Isles. So thanks very much for that, guys. Gee, leopard, why didn't you just get a little bit further? There's some tall trees, but I think that whatever it killed was too big to lift up into the tree. So we've just been looking what I'm pretty sure is an expired version of what James has the live version of.
There is a kudu eating termites. That's what's going on there. Is it not, Wium?
Oh, it looks like it.
That is fascinating. I've never seen that. There's two young kudu are standing on top of the termite mound, and I can only think, unless they're just eating a bit of the soil, which of course is totally normal, they will engage in what we call geophagia, or eating of the earth. And I wonder if maybe they weren't just filling up on a bit of protein and fat by using the termites. Here, everybody, are my powerful binoculars that you hear me mention so often. Extremely useful. There we go. Last used by Genghis Khan on his first campaign across Asia. This is a vast herd of kudu. Many, many kudu. 1, 2, 3, 4 babies. Look at all the little babies there on the left. There are 3 of them in there. And one little outcast now trying to join. Yep. So they're tiny, everybody. Those things are the size of impala, which stand only about 2.5 feet at the shoulder. So they're very small, and their mother's about twice the size, 5 feet at the shoulder at least. And I just think the greens are popping out so beautifully of late. Such wonderful green colours we have now. And you saw their little dwarf mongoose running across the road. So, Tanner, you were asking about the meerkats. That's the same kind of thing that we get here, the dwarf mongoose. That little thing, that little dark spot that you saw charging across the road there. They'll have a little nest here somewhere, or a burrow. This is a very relaxed herd of kudu. They're very seldom this relaxed. So 4 mums and 4 little babies, 4 little calves. In fact, there are 2. There are more. Or was that the same group? Have I lost my mind? Here come the little ones. Let's just wait and see. Certainly one of the most elegant animals you could ever hope to see. Yeah, there's a dwarf mongoose there. Don't worry about it now, it's moving, but if it stops... no, it hasn't stopped. There it goes. Hello, AJ. You are not asking about kudu, you're asking about hippo. And probably as a result of the fact that we saw those young kudu seemingly chewing on either the soil or a couple of termites. You want to know about hippo and meat eating. You said you've read a few things about hippo eating meat. Hippo will sometimes eat meat, and I'm pretty sure it's in the same vein or in the same way that warthog will sometimes eat meat. They will sometimes scavenge, as will certainly many of these herbivores, like the kudu, for example, will suck on bones quite often. So I think while it's not a usual thing, I think it's not that uncommon for a supposed herbivore to sample a bit of meat now and then. But I do know that hippo do it probably much more than, say, something like a nyala would, which is more a bone. They're much more bone suckers than they are meat eaters. But warthogs certainly will scavenge from carcasses every so often. Bush pigs, absolutely, they eat quite a lot of meat. Look at the wonderful colours of the green there and the beautiful kind of grey-brown of the kudu. Stunning. And the light, of course, is now just the most perfect colour.
Mark. Can you bite? Yeah, Mark, your weight in the position that we're in.
All right, let's carry on. We're not too far from Treehouse Waterhole at the moment, so we'll continue that way. No further sign or of those lions. Oh dear. Yeah. Hello, Penny. In South Africa, you say that there are heavy rains and flooding forecast from Mpumalanga and Limpopo weekend. That's where we are now. We are in Mpumalanga /Limpopo. Clearly we're in for a bit of a rainy time of it, which is a bit sad. I'm going on leave tomorrow. That's not the sad bit. The sad bit is that I have a wedding on Sunday. Hopefully it would have cleared a little bit by then, and that's in this area. It's not my wedding. Just in case anybody thought I was rushing off to get married. Perish the thought. I can definitely do that for you, Teresa. You want to see some emerging baboons' tails. There are plenty of baboons' tails, and some of them are flowering, and as we discovered today, you see the little squirrel there, Vimpy? Just there. Oh, he's running away. Don't run away! He's now going very fast. And we had a beautiful smell of some of them this morning. Oh, and they smelled delicious. They smell like sort of very subtle lilies. It's very sweet. Anyway, there's some baboons' tails along the road here. So, I think let's go across to Brent, quickly get an update from him, and as soon as I find one of those baboons' tails, I think they're on the next road that I want to turn down. There'll be some there, so we'll have a look then. Ow.
So unfortunately we've had no luck in that area around Gallagher and Vuyatela camp, so we're going to head a bit more east, as was our original intention. There was a report of Karula 100 meters from our southern boundary after sunrise safari. So I'm going to go down towards the Mawati, and maybe, fingers crossed, she's decided to move back into Djuma. Paul says, how nice of that leopard. to feed those poor hyenas. Yes, I don't know if the leopard will agree with you there, Paul. He's probably quite irate at feeding the hyenas. And I wonder who it could be. There has been that new male pushing in from the north, and that's right near the northern boundary. It could be Tingana, it could even be Mvula coming on an old check of his old haunts. But very interesting, definitely a male leopard, and definitely whatever they caught was too big to put in the tree. So unfortunately for that leopard, all that hard work became hyena chow. Who's in Montana, definitely a part of the United States I'm hoping to get to. Wet my fly line a little, hopefully one day. But Marilyn is wondering about quail, and do we get any quail species? And if so, which one is the most common? Well, Marilyn, in this particular area, we don't have any particularly common quail species. We do have the potential to see a few. I would probably say the most common is the Karachani button quail, which is a tiny little quail species. I'm trying to think what else I've seen in the Sabi Sands. And I think, yeah, I've seen the button quails. I can't remember whether I've seen common quail. But there's Karachani button quail, I think, is the one I've seen the most. And generally not in this type of a brush. Generally on more open grasslands like down in the south and to the east of us. And there we go. Quail. Q. There we go. Most in the Sabi Sands. The Karachani button quail. But I think I'm trying to remember in the recess of my mind, I think I might have seen common quail as well. It's possible, but I think a Karachani button quail is definitely the best bet. There we go, very pretty little bird. You can see there's the distribution. On this map, we're sitting just above that little circular Swaziland. We're just sitting up there. So, let's see if we can... Very distinct call, you'll never really get it wrong. Very mournful little bird. But that is the one I've seen the most. Maybe we should ask James whether he's seen... I think it's possible to get the blank-rumped button quail here, but very rarely. But maybe James has seen some more quails. Oh, there is a monster warthog that lives in this area, and I'm hoping that is him. Let's see if it's the boy with the big tusks. We've got some others here. They don't have the biggest tusks. They are both males, soon to be competing for females. Let's have a look if this other monster, it looked like a beast, large body size at least. Where did he disappear to? Is it the one with the big tusks, Dave? I can't see. He's got nice tusks, but not the big. Oh, he's got decent tusks. Not the biggest tusks, though. There is a big male warthog I've seen quite often around here that has a really big set of tusks. But although he's hiding behind the little cust leaf, this guy's definitely above average. So roll back. Move car slowly. Here we go. nice set of toofies. And you can very see the very prominent 2 warts on the side of his face. That denotes, apart from the obvious extra appendage or appendages between the legs, that it is a male. There we go. I wonder where those Nkuhumas could have darted off to. Hopefully James does have some luck in his search for them. So, I'm not quite sure how to send you across to James right now. He is, sometimes we have to question his work ethic a little bit, but it looks like he's laying about on the job again.
Oh, hello. As promised, here is a baboon's tail with flowers. Now, I described to you a little bit earlier how peaceful it is to stare up at the blue sky, watch the clouds floating over, with perhaps the odd vulture scudding across in the high winds. And that's precisely what I was doing, and I almost dropped off. Here is the beautiful flower of the baboon's tail. And it is a really lovely, subtle, sweet, flowery scent. You can see they just sort of off purple color, at least off white, slightly purple. And on every single flower, there's some kind of insect. There's an ant on this one, there's an ant on this one, there's some kind of beetle, oh no, little spider eating this one, a jumping spider. All of them have got some little piece of ecology on them. And this plant alone is its own little ecosystem. And all around us, of course, the soporific and peaceful atmosphere is being increased by the call of the southern grey hornbill going. That was a wonderful little diversion for the afternoon. Okay, on we go, finally to Treehouse Water Hole. Plug this back into my ear. There we go. Louise, can you hear me? Ah, there we go. She can hear me. Now, many of you, of course, are a little bit worried about why I was lying on the ground. What have you seen, Wium? An elephant. You mean an enormous grey thing that is easy to spot? Right. Joy and rapture. Everybody, Wium has spotted an elephant. Now, I don't know if you heard him tell me that there was an elephant there, but he went, it was very subtle of him. We'll just drive off-road here, everybody. You can see the grey shape feeding there. Looks like a young bull. We'll just ease our way in here. And while we do that, everybody was wondering how I can lie on the ground. Am I not worried about the ants and twixt? And have some ants sometimes, yeah. Worry about our ticks. Oh, it's a little baby. Tiny little baby. Tiny. Look. trying to learn from Mum how to eat a fallen over marula tree. Oh, that's very sweet. I wonder where the rest of them are. Why they would be on their own. Well spotted, Wium. So a gorgeous little sighting of elephants here in the setting sun. That little baby is probably just about a year old. 10 months, maybe. And of course, like I said, things have been a little tough for the elephants. They've been a little tough for the impala. They've been a little tough for the buffalo. And they're all struggling a little bit with the nutritional deficiencies that they will then hopefully be able to rectify with the greenery that is around us now. That little one, of course, is too small to be spending too much time eating leaves. Is that our stumpy-trunked elephant? I think it is.
Looks like it.
Louise is correct. That is our half, we call her half-trunk. That's because the end of her trunk has been cut off sometime when she was a calf, but she's very successful. She's had at least 2 offspring, possibly 3, and she's not old yet. She's only about, I would say, 25, if that. And that is her either 3rd or 2nd baby there with her, and the other 2 are normally around here with her. And she's actually wonderful around the vehicles. She seems to trust us very much, so we can get pretty close to her without her worrying. She's sitting about 30 meters from us now. That's about 100 feet. I can hear a little bit of vegetation cracking, so maybe the others are not too far away. Now that tree, I don't think she'd pushed over. You can see the leaves are already wilting. They've already gone a kind of pale green, and I don't think she pushed this tree over. I think something else or someone else would have done that, and she's just enjoying the harvest or the fruits of the labors or whatever pushed that over. The tree will not die, though, and that is the fascinating thing about a marula tree. It will simply start to grow in another direction. You can see it's still got bits and pieces of its roots in the ground. And the little one now climbing under Mum's belly. So it is her. I mean, that elephant's much younger than 10 months old. It's only about 2 or 3 months old. And yet it is still trying to eat leaves. It will definitely still be suckling. Yeah, I can hear the others in front of us. I can't see them, but they are in front of us here. Just feeding through the bushes. And she's standing in full sun, so she'll be flapping her ears to try and keep her brain cool. Blood from those enormous vessels you can see in her ears will flow directly into her brain and keep everything cool there so that she can think straight. And there have been certainly times this summer when it's been so hot, I've struggled to think straight myself. Hello, Joanne. I don't know the answer to your question, but I think the answer is yes. You want to know, you've seen the baboon's tail now, and the lovely green leaves that they have there, and you know that elephants like to eat those leaves, which assuredly they do. But you want to know if they would eat the flowers. Joanne, they do eat some flowers, so I don't see why they wouldn't eat those flowers unless they're toxic. And I don't know that they are. So I would imagine, you know, were an elephant to be eating a baboon's tail and picking the leaves, perhaps it may well eat the flower as well. At the other end of that, though, of course, an elephant is a tremendously selective feeder often. While they eat a great deal, they're quite selective. Look at that little thing. They're quite good at selecting exactly the piece of the plant that they want. So if they didn't want to eat it, they wouldn't have to. You can see the trunk, still not coordinated, still just still just there now. Suddenly he's seen us and he's going to show us how big and strong he is. No, he's too sweet. Look at him. And the trunk, of course, is, like I say, totally useless now. Here's another young one, VMP, right in front of us. Just come out of the bush. There we go. I think this is her other one. It must be her other one. And all around you can hear the peaceful sounds of the afternoon, the orange-breasted bushshrike, the doves, some francolins. Hello, Rebecca and Andreen. You say that you seem to recall there being 2 short-trunked elephant cows. That may well be the case. Andreen, I think this is the one, though. Certainly, I don't know of them both having tiny calves like this. We know that the one we see most often with her 3 offspring, or 2 offspring and 1 sibling, he has got a little one that size. So I think this is probably that one. Why am I not remembering that exactly? Remember, do you remember there being 2?
We saw one the other day with breeding.
Oh, okay.
A larger one.
All right. So it's not that uncommon, everyone. I mean, they could either come from the poor elephant picking up a snare as a youngster. It could also come from perhaps an elephant being bitten by a crocodile as a youngster trying to drink, like when it's sort of the size of that little one there. And Jamie apparently did see another half-trunked elephant yesterday in the big herd. I think this is our friend. She's got very small tusks. There's a little one following her. Now, Shannon, you want to know if an elephant can live without a trunk? No, not entirely. It can certainly survive with a bit of cut-off trunk like that, and what she majorly lacks is that prehensile tip, so the ability to pick up individual marula fruits and be completely selective about what she eats. But she can make do, and I've seen her even with a tremendously thick trunk, which is probably about, I mean, at its narrowest extent, that trunk is probably about sort of half a foot wide. So despite that, she's still able to be pretty selective and pick up some pretty small things. So she'd be okay. Much shorter than that, though, an elephant is going to struggle because they can't get down to the ground to feed on grass and that sort of thing. This elephant can. And I mean, the trunk has got some sort of concertina-like muscles in it. Let me move a little bit so you can get a better view. But without a trunk, I mean, too much shorter than the one that this one's got here, I think they'd really start to struggle. They do need the trunk so desperately to pick things up, to pick grass, to break off branches, to pick leaves. So without a trunk, an elephant can't survive. Do not make too much noise as we drive in here. We're quite close to them. This is just a wonderful sighting. We're right in between them now. She is only about 50 feet from us with her little baby, totally ignoring us. And on the other side of us, we've got the little one, and he is only about 10 meters from us, 30 feet, and feeding completely comfortably. Ellen, you want to know if they go away from the herd to give birth? Ellen, they don't. They're one of the few animals that, in fact, birth is celebrated by everybody. They will surround the cow giving birth, trumpet and make a big noise and kind of encourage her through the birthing process, then they'll protect the little one from the very beginning. So Ellen, no, they are with the herd all the way through. She's just got a very small little herd. Why she's left the bigger herd or her natal herd, I really couldn't tell you. This tiny little thing. All right, let's go across to Brent. He's got a little reptile to show you. I'm going to stay here for now.
We have a highly mobile terrapin who's changing homes. He's stopping to have a look, almost like he heard me. So moving from one of the pans that is already drying to a deeper pan. Look at him go. And you can see the water he's beelining for. Oh, little African monarch butterfly just fluttered past. There he goes. He's probably going to find a little drop-off point we can't really see from where we are. Oh no, he's going to have to engage 4x4 through the mud. There he goes. Oh, into the water. I think he's going to find that bit a bit shallow. He's going to keep persevering. Look at him go. So unlike the tortoise, who's a herbivore, these guys are ferocious little predators. Oh, happy terrapin. Doop, and gone. Oh, and the head pops up. So they'll move between different little ponds and pans, feasting upon all sorts of aquatic life, dragonfly larvae, damselfly larvae, tadpoles, frogs, and of course when there's a buffalo in the pan with them, they'll take advantage of all those nice ticks to munch on. But also if we have a look here, it's just really nice because of the nature of the ground next to us here. We can see very distinct hippo track here, and you can see the 4 toes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice, very, very distinct hippo track. And hippos, you will find their tracks all over the bush, because of course, during the night time, they're off to graze. Now, when we get a little patch of mud like this, it hasn't gone too hard yet, I get quite excited because we're able to show you a bunch of tracks we sometimes can't normally. I'm just going to see if I can get Dave into a good position here. So there we go. You see that one there, Dave? Just come here. And now I've got to find it. There. Look at that. Now, there's not a track we get to show you too often. I'm just going to have a closer look at it to make sure I'm not fibbing to what I think it is. But I'm pretty sure I know. It is. And there's another one. Can you see this one here, Dave?
Yes.
So that one's a little bit more clear. It's a little genet that's been foraging around, probably looking for same sort of things like little frogs and stuff to eat. Now, one of the more interesting tracks we also have here, hopefully I don't go sinking into the mud, I shouldn't. I'll stand where the hippo stood. If the hippo didn't sink, I'm not going to. Now, you'll notice, and I get Dave to try to show you very carefully here, all these little claw prints here. Can you see them?
Yeah.
So those are all little terrapin footprints. So those are the little claws. He's got 5 little claws on the end of each of his feet. And I'm trying to see, I was really hoping that we were going to have a tortoise footprint around. So a terrapin almost walks like a lady on high heels, and its heels are off the ground, so you only ever really see the claws. You don't see the pad of the foot. Whereas a tortoise walks, you'll see the pad. Oh, there we go. How's that? Or is it just a big lazy? No, it's not a big lazy terrapin. It is a tortoise. In fact, can you see the pad there? So you can actually see an indentation as well as the claws. So there's the back of the pad, and there are the claws. And a tortoise, if we count here, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the front, and 1, 2, 3, 4 on the back. So also slightly different. And then hopefully I didn't stand on that other very distinct track I wanted to show you. Should be another one about. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see, Dave. You see the bird track there?
Only just, but yeah.
Okay, so this one's got very fat toes, a very distinct claw on the end. It has no hind toe showing, which means it's definitely not a perching bird. So it is a ground bird. In this case, with those very fat toes, it's a water thickney. And that we got some impala, we got some kudu. But it is quite nice because sometimes in the sand it's quite difficult to show you these tracks really nicely, and as the mud dries, these areas give us a really nice opportunity to show you a little bit a bit more with the tracks out here. So we are also sitting in the area where Marula was close to this morning. Apparently she was just 100 meters to the south of us. But there's definitely no tracks of her coming back for a visit, so maybe we'll come back here a little bit later this evening. Oh, there we go. And let's head west into the setting sun. Very big welcome on Safari Live, Lindsay. Lindsay would like to know, what is the difference between a tortoise, a terrapin, and a turtle? So I know in the United States you call things a little, name things a little bit differently to us. So for us, a tortoise is a terrestrial being. It likes to live on the ground. We only have 2 in this particular area, but I will. Here we go. And a terrapin is an aquatic being, so even though he will walk and does have feet, he tends to prefer to live in the water. Whereas a turtle is a completely aquatic being that only lives in the water and doesn't have feet, he's got fins. But there are very few actually true freshwater turtles. Most of them are terrapins. And I have seen some monster Nile soft-shelled turtles. So that's a freshwater species of turtle, and they get big. I mean, easily this big. So I've seen them probably from there to there. So nearly the width of the car. Let me see if I can find you. There we go. Okay. We'll start with the turtle. Okay, there we go. Let's go terrapins. Tortoise. Tortoise, a terrapin. Okay, here we go. Here we go. There's a little leopard tortoise. And they're quite unique because their shell is built into their skeleton. And that's one of the really standout facts about the testudines, which is your tortoises, terrapins, and turtles. And just across from him is actually quite interesting, is the exact terrapin we were just looking at, a serrated hinged terrapin, and that is endemic to Africa. So terrapins will mostly live in water, and then the last one we're trying to find is a turtle. And for us, most turtles are ocean going. There we go. And they will only come out to lay their eggs on the beach. Now, in southern Africa, northern KwaZulu-Natal, also known as Maputoland, and southern Mozambique have a lot of turtles, and particularly these giant leatherback turtles. that lay their eggs. And I mean, when I say giant, I was hoping there was a picture of a person, but the biggest one on record is 2.5 meters long and weighed nearly 900 kilograms. So it weighs more than a buffalo. So incredible animals. But I was trying to, there we go. There are other types of turtles, but they're the smaller ones. Your hawksbill, your green turtles, and they're just a lot smaller. So there we go. Leatherback and loggerhead are the two really large species. And then there are quite a few different sea turtles. So they bury their eggs in the sand on the beach, and that's the only time they're ever at shore. And you can see they are permanently at water. They even have barnacles that live on their shells. But here we have to make do with terrapins and tortoises. So we've got a couple of different species of tortoise. Well, as in a couple, only two. We have the leopard tortoise, which we just showed you, and then obviously the Speaks hinged tortoise, which in this area have been known to cuddle a lion or two. By far the most common of the terrapins we have is the serrated hinged terrapin. If I remember correctly, we should get marsh, but I haven't seen one this year. I sort of vaguely remember in the recess of my skull somewhere seeing a marsh terrapin last year in either Buffels Hook or Twin Dams. So we do get, that's right, we do get marsh terrapin, and I'm going to have a look because we have been seeing a lot of terrapins recently. So if we look at that marsh terrapin, it's got a far more robust sort of skull. Not skull, shell, and it's much flatter. The carapace isn't as rounded as the hinged terrapins. And you can see there's a hinged terrapin there. And you can actually see the little serrated edges on it. So that's the big difference. So now there's a big marsh terrapin, and you can see they're just a much bigger and more robust. But the shape of the skull is far more not symmetrical. What's the word I'm looking for, Dave? Rounded, as opposed to the hinged terrapins. And you can see they've got lovely little sort of angular and indentations that come up. You can just see how the shell shape's a bit different. So those are the two more common ones we get here. So I think we should roll the die and start heading back towards around the lodges where those monkeys were alarm calling. Bulgada says she doesn't recognize many of those tracks, but absolutely loved the tracking. Bulgada, that's why I thought it was such a nice spot to stop. A lot of those tracks are not really going to be visible on a sandy road like this, and hopefully you'll see a few more of them before we dry out completely this year. Oh, big black mamba.
Mine, Brent?
Well, it seems to be a reptile day today. Go, heads to the right. It's going to come out the other side of the gory bush. It's coming towards us slightly. Okay, just come wide for a second now. And go to the right a bit. Right. And then the head was about to pop out there unless it went down a hole. I'm just going to move my head so I can have a look. Oh, there it is. There's the head. Go right. Right there. Look, you can see that coffin-shaped head. Massive snake. This one's probably, I would have guessed, good 2 meters, maybe a bit more. Oh, look how chilled it is. Now, I know Jamie and Scott have had the most incredible black mamba sightings, and I've been very, very jealous. So now it's my turn. So it's just hunting. Look how long it goes for. Wow. Dave, you feeling a little bit scared?
A little bit, yeah.
I think that's a bit longer than I initially thought. Yeah, but definitely, it's over 2 meters. I just want to keep very still now. This is so relaxed, the snake. You can see the tail just disappearing, still going. Just want to see if it might possibly climb the tree or whether... Oh no, it's still coming out over there. So I'm just going to reverse slightly. You still got him, Dave?
Don't see him now, Brent.
Okay, let's go. Slowly, slowly. I just saw his head pop up.
I see him.
Look at that. You see there how still he is? He just looks like a stick. Have you
Got him.
you got him there. So slowly, slowly hunting. Absolutely incredible. Now, when black mambas mate, they quite often bite each other. And they are, of course, impervious to their own venom. So it's quite interesting. I have seen them mating before. It is quite a spectacle. Okay, it's just... There his head is... You got him. There. So I'm hoping it's going to move out. There's another open patch coming up. And you could see if there was any little bird around, there would be alarm calling. Our mambas are incredible hunters. There's even a recorded case of a monster black mamba catching and eating a baby blue duiker. But scrub hares, one this size could probably take a scrub hare, squirrel, and a lot of other rodents. And they're incredibly long-lived. Black.
He's behind that one.
Is he going that way?
Traveling 12 o'clock.
But you're heading 12 o'clock away from us.
Yes.
You see him? So we're just going to try get another look at them. There he is. Okay, you see that very knobbly knob thorn? It's fallen down. Okay, just come wide. Just let me see where you are. There. A little bit to the left. See the body?
Yep.
Yeah. There we go. So Doodle says it's very cute how excited I am to have my turn with a big black mamba. Why, thank you, Doodle. Now, you can just see, I can't see the head now, but I can pretty much guess where it is. So if we come wide a bit, I'm just gonna, I think I'm gonna get another view through here. So they're really active hunters. They move a lot while they're hunting. Yo, okay. Jeez, this is gonna be brilliant. Okay, Dave, just stay wide for me.
Staying wide.
Okay, so just zoom in slightly. You see that fallen branch there? Okay, okay, go a little bit to the left. A little bit to the left. Okay, the head, no, sorry, just stay there. Okay, so the head starts there, and the body is over there. The end of the tail's over there. The head's over there, and the end of the tail's over there. That gives you any idea how large that is. Once he moves in, moves off, and we can't see him anymore. If you zoom in, I will go stand there to give you an idea. And here's probably still, you can see it's still thick. It's still the center of the body. And the head is already well off to the right here. See, there we go. If you follow the body, there's the head. Right there. this is a beautiful snake. They live for up to 20 years. Very happy. We're seeing them out in the field, and not like a lot of the other snakes that we've found at Inga's. So as I was just discussing, black mambas prefer mammal prey, any small rodent, mice. They will eat frogs, squirrels, and scrub hares, and they have been even recorded taking a baby blue duiker. And you can see how strong they are. See how it often just lifts that whole front part of its body off the ground. So I'm going to say probably 2 to 3, 2.5 to maybe even close on 3 meters. There we go. There we can see it's going. Maybe not 3 meters. I'm going to stick with 2.5 meters. You can see there. It's about to go into some really thick bush, but let's just enjoy this while we can. So Wendy says, that's what I'd be afraid of while I was walking, not a lion or a buffalo. Well, Wendy, you actually see them far, far less on foot than you do from the vehicle. They tend to skedaddle quite quickly for when you're walking on foot. I don't know, maybe it's the different vibrations caused. Oh dear, it's going right into this really thick tangle. But you can just see the body still going. So Kerry was wondering, would a black mamba strike at me if I was walking? Very unlikely, Kerry. They prefer to get out of the way. First thing they would do is they normally raise up and spread a sort of little false hood. Actually, there's a perfect example of that. So they raise a part of their body up, spread a false hood like that. They've got a tiny little hood, not quite like the cobras, and that's a warning. And also, quite often, I don't know if there's a picture of it in this book, but they'll open, no, it isn't, they'll open their mouth. So the reason they get their name, the black mamba, is because the inside of their mouth is completely black. So it's not their outside coloration, as we could see from that one we've just been watching, but you can see they almost have a permanent smile on their face, sometimes referred to as the smile of death. But as I said, there are generally very, very few mamba bites that ever happen, and most of the bites, as in with all venomous snakes, are by people who are handling the venomous snakes. So guys who work in snake parks and places like that, those are the people who've been bitten, and they get bitten frequently because obviously they're picking up snakes on a daily basis. But wasn't that exciting? And he was so relaxed quite often. The mambas I've seen since I've been here have just shot off into the bush. I am going to try for one last squiz, but I don't think, no. That was very wishful thinking. It's gone right into this really a big fallen down thicket of knobthorn. But let's just actually stay exactly where I am. I'm sure the snake's gone off quite far, so I'm quite safe. But you could see where I was pointing. So I was pointing that the head of the snake was there and the end of the tail was there. So there, get a screenshot of that. There we go. That should be long enough. And I'm going to go stand there and you can see how big it is. As I am 191 centimeters, so just off, 9 centimeters off 2 meters. So I'm confident that snake would have been at least that much bigger than me. Only joking. So that snake, the head was there and the tail was still coming through over there. So you can see that apparently when you spread your arms, that is equal to your height. So definitely much longer than I am tall. Good, another probably half a meter on either side. There we go. Oh, I can still see him, Dave. I think we might be able to get a view from the outside. exciting stuff. So he's actually heading out towards the open there. So another very interesting thing is black mambas will often share their sort of layers, which are most often termite mounds, and they will share those layers with other black mambas, and sometimes even with other species of snakes, other venomous snakes like the Mozambique spitting cobra. So probably a little bit more tolerant than we give them credit for. I could just see that heading towards this open patch of ground here. See if we look carefully, maybe we can spot it again. Okay, let's guide you in. Okay, so in that general area there, it's coming over that little hump towards this way. It might have changed direction while we moved around, but I think, is that it there? Okay, zoom right there. In. Is that the... Down, no, it's a stick. No, is that the body? Is that the stick? It's a little bit to the left. So the last place I saw it was about center frame, or a little bit just left of center frame now. Dave, just go grab it for me quickly.
No thanks.
Okay, so I think we'll leave that snake be. It gave us such an incredible sighting. Wow. So happy to have seen a nice big black mamba. Marisha would like to know, what is the longest recorded length of black mamba? So I think in South Africa, let me just double check if I remember correctly, the average is between 2.5 to 3 meters, but I know of, there's been quite a few different cases of snakes over 4 meters. So that is, I have no idea in feet, but very long, over 20 something. But I know for a fact when I was very young and running around northern Zambia, I came back and the staff at the house I lived at had killed a black mamba. Unfortunately, I wasn't at home to stop them, but a lot of local people will kill snakes on site around dwellings. And that one we measured with a tape measure, even with a bit of its head missing that had been chopped off with a spade. That was 4.2 meters. So, let me just 4.2 meters for you. 4.2 meters, that's probably the easiest way to do it. So I'll give you a good idea. Dave, you can let me know when I'm in a good spot to draw a line. This should be okay here.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, there we go. So 4.2 meters from here is 1, 2, 3, 4, and a bit. So there we go, that's 4.2 meters. A very, very large snake. The only snake I've ever seen that is bigger than that is a really, really monster African rock python that was just over 5 meters. And that poor creature couldn't even move while we were taking photos and whatnot of it. I was probably about 10, 11 years old, because it had swallowed a whole female warthog. But that is the only snake bigger than that black mamba I've ever seen, is that really big African rock python in Zululand. Shall we continue? Who's 9 years old. How are you doing, Matt? Matt would like to know if I've ever seen a mamba kill and eat. I have have, Matt, but unfortunately not in the wild. I was fortunate enough to go and have a look at a really incredible place just outside Hoedspruit called the Kami Reptile Sanctuary, where they do a lot of studies on venom and on the snakes themselves. And I have been present for mamba feeding time at the Kami Reptile Sanctuary. So it's actually incredible. You watch as they bite those mice, how quickly that venom works. And it's literally, you can't even count to 10 before the mouse sort of starts showing signs of its whole respiratory and heart, respiratory system and heart and everything just completely shutting down. So really potent neurotoxic venom. But on a happier note than poor little mice being murdered by mambas, James has got some great grey pachyderms for you.
Well, this is not the same herd, everybody. We came back into the area where the lions were, hoping to see if they were around here, and the elephants have kind of emerged from the other side of the block, exactly where I thought the lions might be. So the chances of them actually being in there are very slim indeed. So I don't know what's happened. I've checked all these roads for tracks. Who knows? But what is interesting is that that elephant there is eating the string of stars, which have just sprung up. They're those little white flowers that you can see on the ground there, and she is devouring them with relish. That's amazing. You can see her being very selective about what she eats. And just remarkable, everybody, just to reiterate the remarkable nature of the sighting you've had. We heard that you had a black mamba, and we thought, well, it'll be one of those quick, fleeting glimpses, as they always are. And just very special that you got to spend so much time with it. I think that's phenomenal. So the herd grazing across through this thicket into the clearing where they can eat a bit of grass and a couple of flowers, and straight through, like I said, where I thought the lions might be. And I mean, we would have heard these elephants going ballistic if they'd found those lions, and have started trumpeting and shouting and screaming, and I think it would have been pretty obvious what they were yelling at. You can see she's feeling a bit of stress, clearly. That's why she's got that streaming behind her eye, between her ears. Something has stressed her out. Perhaps it is the heat, but I don't think it was very hot today. Maybe they did come across the lions a bit earlier, and maybe those lions got up and threatened one of the calves, but I think it's very unlikely. I think also elephants probably experience emotional trauma in a way that we don't understand, and they stream from that gland when they're experiencing some kind of emotional trauma. It's coming out in front of us, Wium, is a big cow. There she is. I think that's the matriarch. Curious Cookie, you want to know why it is that the babies you think are not as wrinkly as the adults. Curious Cookie, I think the babies are as wrinkly, and I think often they're more so. Maybe it's just a factor of something to do with the fact that they have less skin and so they look less wrinkly. Let's just look here. There's some others going to come across the road now with some youngsters, so let's look, Curious Cookie. Come on, elephants. Don't let me down. There's a big one. They're all high. There's a little one there. I suppose it does appear to have slightly less wrinkly skin. I have to agree with you there now. It must just be age, I suppose. But if you look carefully, it's not much less wrinkly. And maybe the constant bending and shuffling eventually renders the skin as wrinkly as that. We go a little bit closer. Now, Ellen in Arkansas, you make a very good point that elephants seem never to rest. They're always eating or moving or playing, or doing something, and your observation is that they never seem to rest. It's not an incorrect observation. They do hardly ever seem to rest at all. I think what you'll find is on these nights when it's quite warm that they will sleep. The adults will often not lie down. They'll just kind of stop. And it is a rule of thumb that the larger you are as a mammal, the less sleep you need. So an elephant like this, a big adult, will probably only need about 3 to 4 hours of sleep a day. The youngsters do sleep a bit more. They will lie down. The little ones will lie down. They obviously can't keep going all the time. Sorry, I'm just going to have a look here. But Ellen, yeah, you're right. They do have to keep moving because they have to keep finding things to eat all the time. Hang on a second. Sorry, I just saw something that looked a little bit like a lion's belly. I can't see it now. Let me go a little bit forward. There. I'll be beyond impressed with myself. Wium, I don't think that's a lion's belly. I think it's a piece of bare soil. That's a pity. You didn't want to tell me, did you? You didn't want to embarrass me in front of everybody. That's very kind of you, thank you. I'm afraid the elephants have disappeared. Oh, no, there they are. I don't want to follow them through that thickish bush there. They're over to the left-hand side there. And I'm just going to keep looking to the right and see if those lions don't pop out. No, nothing now. Let's just enjoy the elephants for a little while. The sun has set, and so the coolth of this autumn afternoon is starting to descend. And by autumn, I just mean sort of semi-late summer. It's still very warm indeed. There is a little one there who is certainly less wrinkly than the rest. So, Curious Cookie, I'm going to take your point. I just don't know why they're that much less. Hello, Paul. You very kindly sent through a compliment saying how lucky you are that so many people bring this to you every day and dedicate themselves to broadcasting the show. Well, I mean, certainly from my point of view, it's hardly a trial, Paul. This is my job. I'm looking at these magnificent elephants. I'm watching the sun go down. I get to spend time with my old pal Wium Dorenbrach in one of the most magnificent wildlife and wilderness sanctuaries in the world. So, Paul, thank you very much for your kind compliments. The ladies in the final control, of course, sit in an air-conditioned office, which is not often the best thing for them, but they do a sterling job. And, of course, the technical team behind it all does a quite astonishingly impossible job. So thank you, Paul. I shall relay your thanks to all and sundry when we get back. And Paul, we are also, of course, extremely grateful for the time that you all give us and the questions that you ask and the comments that you make. It really does make for fascinating afternoons and mornings. So let's go up this way. Maybe those lions changed a direction. Oh, such a lovely smell of elephant. Like a sort of sweet leather. Now, Aqua, while we get a last look at these elephants as they melt off into the thick bush here, you want to know if I think any of them remember the culling of the 80s and 90s. Now, just to reiterate or perhaps introduce the concept to some of you, the Kruger National Park for many, many years felt that they should maintain the numbers in the park at 15,000, which meant that they were shooting about 900 elephants a year. Now, the last cull, if I'm not mistaken, was in 1996. And for a long time, elephants were very difficult to view on foot, very difficult to view in vehicles. They were angry, they were scared, they would either run away or they would become quite nasty quite quickly, and you didn't have elephant sightings like we have now. Now, I mean, the logic of the culling exercise is so profoundly without sense that I won't go into it now. But to say to you that, yes, they did remember. I think many of those elephants have calmed down, but when I started guiding in 2000, 4 years after the last cull, you couldn't view elephants like this. If an elephant walked out of the bush like this one is here, you would never just sit here. You would always try and get into a position where you could turn around, and if you had to move, you moved away forwards. You would never just let them walk across the front of you like this. You'd never park in the middle of a herd. And slowly over the years, they've begun to trust us a bit more. And so hopefully that will continue. Nice question, that. Thank you. Yeah, you didn't used to view elephants like this 15 years ago. I imagine a lot of those older animals are now passed on, or slowly they've learned to trust us again. How gentle they are as they feed across the road. Lael in Washington, you want to know if an elephant will ever try and suckle with its trunk. Lael, no, I don't believe they will. I think they will always use their mouths. I think it's almost impossible for them to attach the trunk to the teat there, and so they will always use their mouths, which are specifically designed, of course, for suckling on those what we call inguinal mammae, the two mammary glands in between the front legs, which gives, I think, gives elephants the most humanoid kind of appearance. It's always slightly jarring to me. Just listen to her footfalls. That's just a little bit of a warning, saying, what are you guys doing here? What do you want? So, I mean, she's probably 25 to 30 years old. So, I mean, she would certainly have been old enough to have seen the culls, but maybe only as a very little calf. Brent is hailing me. Brent, Leo Smith, come in.
Hello, James. Where would you like me to check for those Nkuhumas?
Brent, I don't know. I've circled the block. I haven't seen any tracks coming in or out. So, I mean, I think they're probably still in there. A big herd of elephants has just come out of there, so I'm not sure. I'm just going to check up towards Sandy Patch and then come back down via tele-access. Maybe you want to continue Zoe's.
Copy will do. I'll have Zoe's via tele-access.
So it's quite likely that those lions will come out at some stage during the course of the evening, or they'll start calling. So we'll just kind of make some circles around this area, as will Brent, and we'll see if we don't come up with them. Should we put some lights on there? Shed some illumination on the situation.
We could settle in for the night.
We could settle in for the night.
Lights.
Our lights. We've got very powerful lights on Rusty. So the cull is quite an interesting thing, and there's quite a lot of suspicion. In fact, I don't even think it's suspicion, that the apartheid government of the time was involved in it, and what the so-called culling exercise was simply an excuse for the government to harvest ivory and sell it on to illegal markets. And that's quite I think there are a few publications being written about that. And of course, when you hear things like that, you wonder how much governments are involved in things like rhino poaching. Hello, Safari Dean. I shall address you by your proper name today. You want to know, is there anything in the bush that could possibly be more amusing than, you say, excluding our guides, of course, than a small elephant? No, I think that you are correct, that the small elephant running with its tail out and its ears out and trumpeting away is quite possibly the most amusing thing to see in the bush. Other than Brent Leo Smith, of course. He is most amusing to look at. Lots of mushrooms just sprung up all over the place. Here's another odd one, Wium, that sort of tower-like one that you've spotted. Now, I really get upset when I hear things like this. Vizzed sword. Just go again with that name, Louise.
Thank you. Copy.
Viz. Oh, Viv Sword. Right, Viv Sword. You have said that you've asked a stupid question. You have not asked a stupid question. You want to know what culling is. And it's what it is. Culling is simply the kind of a controlled harvesting of animals or killing them or shooting them because they are overpopulating an area. That's called culling. It's not a stupid question in the slightest. I'm going to collect one of these things to show it to you because I think they look so remarkable. There are lots of them around. Fear not. Harvesting the odd mushroom is not going to harm the ecology. An impala just spotted me. So here it is. And Jeffrey, I don't know, would you eat this one? You spoke about the other white one being fairly edible, probably. This one certainly smells edible-ish. Looks very fleshy. I mean, I must say it looks rather delicious. Quite nice, some butter and garlic, wouldn't it?
It'd be nice if it's deep fried with chocolate on it.
Deep fried with chocolate on it. Deep fried with chocolate. Have you really had a deep fried mushroom with chocolate on it? No. No. There's a reason you haven't had a deep-fried mushroom with chocolate on it, Wium, and that's because it would be disgusting. Deep-fried with chocolate.
We're going to try it tonight.
We are not going to try anything tonight. You might be trying it. No lion tracks here. Hello, Gracie. Aged just 8, or 8.5 now, I imagine. Gracie, you say you'd like to apologize on behalf of humanity for killing the animals, because we should never kill animals and it makes you cry a lot. Well, Gracie, I don't think you were the only one, and half the reason they stopped doing it, you know, is because people got so cross, and the government eventually then stopped culling those elephants. So you're not the only one who got upset by it. And especially when there's greed involved, well, yes, it's just inexcusable and very horrible. But sometimes, Gracie, it is necessary, especially if you're on a very small reserve, say, and you've got thousands of impala and you can't sell them and you can't get rid of them. Sometimes it's necessary to do a bit of a cull simply because if you don't, then all the other animals are going to suffer. So it is a very difficult one to think about, but certainly as far as the elephants go, I don't believe that it was necessary. All right, let's go and get an update from Brent, see what his plans are for the short night drive. We're going to continue down this main access road now and see if there aren't any tracks.
Welcome back, guys. So we've been sitting quietly around here, and we're back in that area where the lions last were. They were just behind us here, and we're just taking a very slow, quiet drive to try to see if we can hear anything. Hopefully they get moving, and if we're even more lucky, we might bump them. It is absolutely still at the moment. Hardly even a bird call. I can hear the buzzing of a large Pompilidae wasp, a spider hunting wasp, a big purple flying beast somewhere out there. But that's about it. Oh, and a bushveld rain frog. Well, hopefully we'll get some really nice frog calls as it gets a bit darker. And we're now sitting in that half light, just that true dusk. And those girls look quite hungry this morning, so there is a possibility they might get moving a little bit early. So Mike in Florida says he'd love to volunteer in Africa. And he says it's not that easy for an American to just up and leave and not knowing exactly where to go. Now, Mike, there's various different volunteer programs running all over the place. And I have not spent much time in the volunteering industry. I've tended to be more towards the lodge side of the industry, but I have filmed some great volunteer programs in Zambia, and there's a particular non-profit organization there called the Game Rangers International that's very good. But other than that, the best place to look is a Facebook page called Volunteers Beware, and there's quite a bad thing that happens, and with a lot of volunteers who come out with the best intentions but end up at the wrong type of place that really profits from the animals and doesn't do anything for the greater good. So that Facebook page is a really good place to have a look, and it'll steer you away from the canned lion hunting people and the cub petting people and the people who keep animals in small pens and cages. Obviously, another great volunteering program that I've filmed quite a bit is with Kevin Richardson, just outside Johannesburg. But I would probably say there are quite a few good ones, but unfortunately, the bad ones outweigh the good ones. But Jamie did work in that industry for quite a while, so maybe, Mike, when Jamie's back on drive, you should ask her what she thinks. In New York would like to know what expected or unexpected life lessons I've learned from being out in the bush. Well, I think one of the most important ones that came to be very important today, well, not to me personally, but to Mr. Hendry, was always empty your shoe. Always empty your shoe upside down before you put it on. Now, there's a couple of reasons. So, one, and quite often a lot of toad species like to crawl and hide in your shoe, but also, and they're not so bad, they just give you one hell of a fright. But the one that's a little bit more serious if it's in your shoe, and James actually had one in his shoe today. He had a little bark scorpion. Fortunately, not a very venomous one, and fortunately he did not put his shoe, as with most people in the bush, hold your boot. Oh, we've had a light malfunction. There we go, it's back. Hold your shoe empty. That's why I choose to wear sandals, and I can always see what's in them. But in winter months, I always empty my boots before popping them on. And probably say on the sort of greatest grand life scale of things, something that I'm quite well known for not having too much of outside of the bush is patience. And a lot of people who know me find it absolutely incredible that I'm incredibly patient with animals, and I'll happily spend 2 days waiting for lions to make a kill. But outside of the bush, patience is not one of my virtues, so I do try to remember that. And I'd probably say I'm a lot more patient person because of living and being in the bush, and realizing that everything's not always a race. And Final Control says if I hadn't been in the bush, they'd been very, very scared. So those lions could pop out anywhere here. So I think James is looping the opposite way to me. He's going around to see if they pop out on the other side. I'm about to approach Impala Plains now, and I plan to just switch off the car again and just keep quiet for a little bit and see if we might be able to pick up any sounds. So we've got a nice little downhill to run into Impala Plains, so we'll switch the car off as we approach. So Dave, fingers crossed, Nkuhumas lionesses appearing onto the clearing. So quiet at the moment. So we're just going to keep really quiet, just for a little bit. So, unfortunately not. The only thing I can actually hear is some dwarf mongoose saying goodnight to each other, and a fork-tailed jongo calling over there. White-browed scrum robin behind us. Wouldn't it be wonderful if those ladies just started and the evening as they did the morning? But fortunately, they don't understand my calls, which is very sad. I'd love to be able to say, hey, lion, get your behind over here. But we're going to continue searching. While we do that, let's go see if James has had any more luck.
Well, there's a little kingfisher, everybody, and I know that we shouldn't really shine on kingfishers, but they are going home soon, so we're just going to wash him in light a little bit and look at his magnificent halcyon blue colors as he flies off into the night. Now, this is where the lions were this morning, in this little block here, and directly that way is those power lines where we saw the elephants just now. Brent is over that way, over there, making his lion calls. I suspect he's probably imitating a distressed buffalo at the moment in an attempt to attract them out. But the elephants came straight through here, exactly over where those lions were, and popped out that side. So, like I say, they wouldn't have tolerated being around the lions, so maybe the lions headed further south towards where Brent is, and they're still stuck in the block. I checked very carefully on the road for tracks. It's not to say it's impossible I could have missed them, but I don't think I did. So while it's dark, I think we'll just gently drive around here and see what creatures of the night might pop out while we're hoping the lions do. There were some serval here a while back, the only serval I've ever seen here. Oh, Ravi, you're really cutting to the core. Ravi, you're cutting to the core here. You say, what important life lessons have I learned being out here? Well, Ravi, I'm going to give you a very honest answer. And Ravi, my answer is that I've learnt a huge amount about my own ego. And having a camera staring at your face all day long can have one of two effects. One, it will make you hide under the dashboard, and the other, it will make you think you're Tom Cruise. And I have variously, at various times during the course of my almost year here, thank you, Louise. Yes, I know we're the same height. I'm actually much taller than he is.
Smile to me, would you? Smile to me? No, Tom Cruise.
No.
You don't have Tom Cruise smile.
Is this not a Tom Cruise smile?
No.
Okay. But what I mean by that is that you can very quickly get away with yourself and think that you are a very special human being simply because there's a camera pointed on you. And you can get very, it's quite easy to let your ego overtake you, Ravi. And so, for me, the whole concept of learning about myself has been largely about my ego and how to keep it in check, which has, I think, been very valuable. Of course, as Brent says, one should empty one's shoes out. I did find a scorpion in my shoe today, first time it's ever happened, and I'd actually put my foot into the shoe and felt something there. I thought maybe it was mud because it was being quite muddy, and then I shook the shoe out and a lot of sand came out and I thought it must be mud. Then I put my foot back into it and still there was something there, and I shook and shook, and then I put my hand into my shoe to see what was there and pulled, and out came the scorpion. Mercifully, it was, it was dead. I'd either crushed it or it had maybe picked up. They did spray for mosquitoes the other day. And of course, that is a fairly deadly toxin. And if it had picked up some of that toxin, and they spray for mosquitoes because of malaria in the camp, then maybe that's what it picked up. I don't think I killed it with my foot. I think it was already sort of docile. But thankfully it didn't pick me or sting me on the toe. It wasn't a particularly venomous one. There's a genet. Oh, tree, get out of the way. Ah, it's gone. Can you see anything there? Let me go a little bit forward. It was a genetary one, a small genet. And I know you can't see it, but it's gone in there, I'm afraid. It's precisely where I saw the serval, you know. It wasn't the serval there. Anyway, sorry about that. Did you see its tail? Okay. Well, just listen to that. Oh, it's such a lovely sound. The litany bird. Did you hear the little fiery-necked nightjar? That's not the fiery-necked nightjar, everybody. That is the evening star. It isn't a star, of course. It's a planet. And I don't know which planet it is. I think it's Jupiter. I haven't looked at the stars for so long because we haven't been out at night. But it's very easy to check, and I'll go and have a look on the internet when I get back. You can get a star map for an area like this, and it'll tell you precisely what is in the night sky. Skymaps.com is what I used to use. Not sure if it still works. Geraldine says it's Venus. We'll have to check on that. It could well be Venus, could easily be Venus. Geraldine, what is the source of your information? Geraldine actually has no idea what it is. Geraldine, go to skymaps.com. That will tell you. I used to have a very nice app on my phone, and it was amazing. I'm sure you can still get it. You hold the phone over your head and move it, virtual reality style, and wherever you happen to be pointing, and as long as the phone is orientated. Oh, Brent's got the lines. Let's go and see.
Sir, perseverance pays off. I've got one of the girls here. I'm just going to call James now so he can probably come join us. So I don't think he's too far away. Oh, lying down. So where are the others? I had a sneaky suspicion they were going to pop out around here. Just trying to see. Ah, there they are. Hello, kitties. One. So there we go. There's one. I'm going to go up there. Two over there. We're going to go to the left. 3, 4. It's just, sorry, I just need to move this light. Oh, sorry, Gertie. I moved a bit quickly there for her. Try and reach over just to move the spotlight. Oh, but you're going to lie down now. Here we go. Let's just reverse slightly. Sorry, madam. Well, it looks like one of the other lionesses is going to come and join her for a bit of a greeting session. How's that, Dave? Enough light? Or do you want spotlight? There you go. You can see the other lioness. James. Oops. So they haven't moved. They're not too far from where James left them this morning. I think that herd of elephants might have chased them. That's why they weren't in the exact same spot. The station's located in Nkuhumas, Nyala, on the power lines close to the junction with Impala Road.
Copy that, Brent. Yeah, I'm on it. Yeah, I'll come along like a Google. I think I'll take the shortcut.
Copy F. Yeah, let's have a look at those others a bit further past her there. So there she is. There's another two there. The other female, I think, is walking off already. Hello, big girl. Look at those eyes. Look at that. It's a 1,000-yard stare. It almost seems to go straight through your very being. And lifting her nose there, just sniffing the air. Let's see if we can find Commander Bond now that everyone else has finished talking. Jumps.
Yeah.
James, you're more than welcome to come join us for the only station here on the power lines junction and Impala Road.
Confirm the junction I've driven past 3 times today.
I don't know if you heard James there. Confirm the junction I've driven past 3 times today. That would be affirmative, James. You just need to drive past it at the correct time.
Yeah.
Ooh, listen. Did you hear that? Sounds like hippos fighting behind us. Just heard that of hippos fighting. Didn't seem to get the lion's attention much. It's amazing. She's watching the flying ants that fly towards the spotlight, attracted by the light and the movement. Her eyes so specialized at picking up movement that the flying ants flashing in front of the light attracts her attention. Or all of them up on the go. Okay. So they're on the move. There we go. Oh, there we go. There might be a bit of greeting and playing. Look at that. Nighttime is truly the lion's time. Definitely don't want to be walking around in the African bush at night. Hello, Gracie. Gracie's 8 years old, and Gracie says she thinks it's really nice that the lions have started and stopped fighting with each other all the time and just being nice to each other now. Do I think they decided love was better than fighting? Well, I think, Gracie, the Birminghams and the Nkuhumas are definitely in love now, so until there's any new boys, I think everything's going to be okay for a while. Doodles is just saying, wouldn't it be nice for them to get a meal soon? And if we have a look through there, we can see the others, and you can see what Doodles is talking about. Not looking quite hungry. It was awesome to see them hunt that wildebeest herd this morning, but to no avail. You can see the skinny belly there. Oh, and flop down. I can see 3. I wonder where the 4th one disappeared to. I'm sure she's not too far away somewhere, lying about. And the lights up ahead there, you can see Jimps arriving to come say hello to the lions who have evaded him all sunset safari. Oh. See, I can't turn off the light. There he is, lurking in the shadows, as Final Control says. Hi, guys. Here we go. There's the 4th lioness. She just popped up right next to us. Hopefully, they're going to walk right next to James. And if they do that, we're going to jump across to James's camera, because that is going to be amazing. So there she goes, walking towards James. Okay, so we're going to jump onto James's car so he can talk to you about how amazing this lion is walking straight towards him, and of course his frustrations in not being able to find lions.
Beautiful, everybody, in the backlight there. Beautiful in the backlight, and the little termites flying around, shining. This lioness is about to walk not more than 2 feet from the back of the car. There she goes. Here comes the other one. Yeah. I'll put the lights on. There's Amber Eyes, my favorite. And the others coming now behind them as well. How amazing her eyes looked in the light.
I see, yeah. James's voice, eh? Oh, it's so low. Like, even from this distance, I can't really hear.
So they're now heading west, of course, possibly towards Simbambili. Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that. Look at that, everyone. Let me just put some decent lighting on. Let's go around on the road and we'll probably get them walking down the road. Let's go back across to Brent. I'll stay with these ones.
So we're in with the last lioness. Just imagine that we're part of the pride heading out on tonight's hunt. As you can see, we're the last in the line as they're moving down this road, now heading towards, unfortunately, towards Sibambili, but I'm hoping that they take a right. Oh, flying ant, I think. What is it?
Yes.
Flying ant, okay, good. Now there's another important bush lesson. Don't smack anything, because imagine it was a blister beetle and I hit it, then it would have irritated. That's why I didn't stop the reflex to grab it until we could see what it was. So we're still with the last lioness, and she's going to catch up with James, who's got the other three ladies, so let's go have a look.
Now, excuse the slightly strange picture, everybody, but it looks like this lioness is going to come right behind us. There she is. She's now very close by. Isn't that lovely? It just gives you a sense, of course, of what the animals are going to see, the herbivores and their potential prey for the night. And she'll come around the front of us. And there are the rest of them waiting, listening, smelling, looking. And look at them disappearing off into the night. I love that picture of lions heading into the night. Hello, Big Dave in Florida. Very valid question. Why can we light up the lions at night but not the hyenas? It's not that we don't light up hyenas, Big Dave. It's we don't light up baby hyenas. We wouldn't light up lion cubs either. And that's simply because the light, we don't want to affect a young animal whose eyes haven't fully matured. And also, lights can sometimes attract things like hyenas. And obviously these lions are under no threat from hyenas at all, but young lion cubs would be, leopard cubs would be, and so that's the reason, Dave. If there were just hyena adults, we would absolutely light them up. Now Ephraim is just in front there. You can probably see his lights coming through. Hello, Tom. Tom, you're in Dallas, and you want to know why it is that lions, as you say, see us as prey at night, but not during the day. It's not so much that they see us as prey during the night, it's the fact that they can tell that we are of no threat at night. We bumble around, we can very clearly not see what's going on, and they are, of course, in turn, very confident during the night time. And so that's why they're a little bit more dangerous at night, or potentially dangerous. I'll just give an idea here, try and get an idea of what they're going to do. I don't want to put the light on any brighter because we'll blind Ephraim and his guests. But you can see them all there in front of us. Some of them now heading off to the left. And there, you can see the obvious tracks that they're leaving on the road there. Isn't that nice? So not even I would have missed tracks like that during today. Very nicely pointed out by Louise here. She says one of the things that Renius taught us was that you can, Renius was teaching us the tracking, and Brent was talking about him earlier. You can see from the tracks how fast the lion was moving. And you can see there that her back feet are not reaching her front feet. They are being placed behind where her front feet were. She's moving slowly. If they were moving, if she was running, that would be opposite. The back feet would go in front of the front feet, and the tracks look different, so you can actually tell from the tracks how fast the lion was moving. And let me just put this light on here. She's going off into the bush. Everyone, I don't think we're going to follow her through there. We're going to go past Ephraim here and then see if we can follow up behind him. Aye, Hi. So they've gone in here, everyone. We're quite close to the boundary. It is quite a sodic area, so I'm reticent to just head off road there. Let's go around. Yeah, there's another one on the road. We don't need to go off road. Just walking silently into the night. The rest will have fanned out because they will be looking for something to eat. We had a question this morning about whether that is some kind of communication that takes place or is it instinctual. I think it is largely instinctual, and I think that there probably is some communication, but probably communication we don't understand. Now, this one's fanned off into the right here. Oh, she's hiding behind a bush. You see this? Sorry. She's hiding behind the bush there. I don't want to turn the lights on. She spotted something. Isn't that clever? You can hear the nightjar calling. And she spotted something there. I love the way she snuck in behind that bush to hide. She's looking towards where her sisters went. She can hear them, and I suspect there's some form of communication going on that we don't know about. Remember, only 20 to 30% of the time that they run on a hunt are they successful. Ah, here we go. She's moving now. You see her moving her shoulders like that? She isn't warming up for a bit of a pounce. That's Brent Leo Smith behind us, so we don't have to worry about moving. Oh, Brent's got another lioness. Let's go across to him.
So there we go. Isn't this wonderful? It's always great to share a sighting with her. Not only a workmate, but a friend. And he did work very hard for them today, so I had to call him in. But so far, the girls are moving through this lovely, open, grassy area. Now, often we mention how great these areas are for the grazing animals, such as wildebeest and zebra. But because it's so good for them, it brings in the kitty cats. Oh, it looks like they're going to have a little rest. And this is very typical of lion behavior. Let's walk for a while, sleep for a while, walk for a while, sleep for a while. She's up on the move again. Oh, look at those absolutely magnificent animals. Oh, she's seen something. Sorry, I might just watching her body language change slightly. Let's wait to see. James is up ahead. If he spotted something up ahead. Judging by his spotlight arcs, I don't think so. Maybe she heard something in the distance. around this pesky weeping wattle. So the other lionesses are quite far ahead. Listen. So that's down there. So some of the other lionesses went that way, and probably about 50 or 100 meters from us, just hear impala alarm calling. You can see they changed their movement completely after being spotted there. They don't even try hide. And even sometimes the animals like impala will actually run closer to them, snorting. So this wasn't the lioness that got spotted. There's another one further to the west. Look at that. Disappearing behind that guarri bush and reappearing. They definitely are hungry. I am hoping they managed to catch something this evening. Well, as our lioness disappears, let's go look at one of the other ladies with James.
So there are the other two just moving through the bush. In fact, I think that's probably the same one you were looking at with Brent. I don't want to put more light on her, as I'm sure Brent told you. There are some impala there, and there were alarm calling. We'll just go a little bit further up the road here. I'm not going to send a light into there, I'm afraid, because there are some impala. We know they're hungry. We know they're hunting. So we've got a little bit of sort of ambient floodlight going softly into the bush there. But we're not going to stick with them for much longer. In fact, that might be it, I think. Yeah. People, we're going to leave them, I think, simply because they are going into this kind of thick bush. They are hunting. It's not possible to follow them with the blinding lights on and crashing through the bush behind them without affecting their ability to hunt. So I think if it's all the same to you, and I know you will understand, we're going to leave them now and probably head for home. Well, I'm very glad we got to see them in the end. I guess, you know, not a bad thing that we found them when we did, or that Brent found them when he did, simply because, you know, at least they were doing something. I didn't copy that, sorry. Louisi, you'll have to go again with that. Okay. Yes, and Debbie, you're absolutely right. We began the day and ended the day with beautiful lions, the 4 beautiful Nkuhumas lionesses. Their cohort, hopefully making some more lions with one of the Birmingham boys. Lots of mushrooms all over the place. Everywhere I look now, with little white patches all over the clearings. Steph found something called an inky blacktip today, which is a inky tipped mushroom, highly, highly toxic. So we didn't eat it. I suppose I should be spotlighting things. Right. Okay, everyone, that's going to be it from us while we drive along today. A big thank you to all of you for your contributions, for giving us of your time and your questions and your comments. We really do appreciate your watching as much as you appreciate the fact that we bring you the show. So thank you to all of you. Thank you, Wium. Good job. Big thank you to Brent, of course, and he's being filmed by Dave, I think, Louise and Jerry the Cheesecake in final control. We'll see you tomorrow at 05:30. Bye-bye.